Thank you, Susan, keeping me honest.
So is next week the discussion on GIMP? And if it is, how should we prepare for that? Should we familiarize ourselves with GIMP beforehand, and how would it be advantageous to do that?
I'm going to send Bill a one-page outline of what we're going to go over, and he'll distribute it to everybody by the weekend. I think we're going to also record that so that you'll be able to go back and re-watch it. My suggestion would be not to try to follow along and do the same things I'm doing. My suggestion would be just watch it, ask questions, make notes on your outline sheet that I'm going to hand out. And then, based on the questions and feedback, we can do some follow-up sessions if anybody's interested. I think probably the best way to learn it would be to watch what we do in this session. Then once Bill sends out the YouTube of the recorded session, then you can get on your computer, run your YouTube of the session on your phone or or iPad, and then play around with it some more and kind of, follow it step by step through. So that would be my suggestion.
Is it, I don't know anything about it, I'm sorry, but do you download it? And would it be a good idea to download it ahead of time, or?
Yes, you do download it. I'm going to go through that in the session on where to go and how to do it.
Okay.
Not necessary to do it ahead of time, I don't think.
Okay, thank you.
Graham, you'll be there? Graham?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't hear who you were talking to. Yes, I'll be here.
Okay, so I'll make sure that people know, because I'll send a follow-up that we use the same link to Zoom.
Yeah, oh yeah, use the same link, Bill.
Yep.
Just regular one, and as AJ says, we'll record it, and then Michael put it up.
And I had a question. What day is that again? Was that the 23rd?
Same day.
Next-
Shoot. Sorry, Bill, go. The regular time, it's just the off week for us.
Okay, all right, got it.
So next Tuesday at 11. All right. Anything else?
Maybe what I can do is just let people know what the next photo challenge will be, so we don't forget to say it at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Irony.
What?
Irony.
So
Irony?
Your ironing
Oh
board.
my gosh.
Not ironing.
Yeah, ironing. not
Ironing,
irony.
yeah, we're gonna have lessons in ironing.
I thought you said tyranny.
Coming soon
we've seen
to a
enough of that.
stream near you. That's a good
Kind of
suggestion.
ironic in itself, isn't it?
I looked at good definitions of irony, and the ones that stuck in my mind were contrary to what one expects,
Mhm.
incongruity between normal and the result, a reversal of what is expected, and even sarcasm, which is getting a little too far, I think, out for us with photography. But the first three that I mentioned, I think we can have fun on finding kind of odd things.
I think
Cool.
maybe we'll wind up defining irony in the course of looking at our photographs.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think taking the photographs we take and then looking at how they actually turn out is ironic in and of itself.
Very true.
Yeah. Okay, good input. Any more for Bill or for us to take on tips and tricks and things we ought to be covering?
Only thing that I might add here is I've decided to get rid of my Nikon D750. So if anyone is interested in upgrading to a full frame, but having a problem with just having too many cameras laying around.
Yep, I just cleared out a lot of stuff. Although it's
It's a
depressing.
problem I wouldn't mind having.
But it's depressing when you go and put it on eBay and you see the offers you get. Okay, cool. Are we all done?
I think we're ready to move on.
All right. Let's see what we can do here. Let me check that I've, yep. Okay, that's, oh, bugger, now I've lost that again. There we go. All right, let's see if we can share this screen. And I want this one. Oh. Okay, you guys seeing?
Okay, that's
Mhm.
mine. The Buddha. I think I did that in aperture mode. And with a short 55 millimeter lens, 1/125th shutter speed. And I think it was a real high ISO of 1800.
Okay, yeah.
And that's pretty much
Cool.
it.
I like how you've got the subject sharp and you've used a fairly wide aperture so the background's nicely out of focus.
Right.
Yes,
It's sharp, it's nicely done.
good,
Mhm.
good. I struggle with sharpness, so it's
Ah.
good to get one of these every now and then.
It's nice
I
and
can't-
sharp and the face is exposed well.
Good.
Is it yours
Yeah, it's my wife's, yes.
in your yard? I like it.
That is nice.
I
Yeah.
like the way that it's not full centered. It's
Mm.
the Buddha is looking off to my left, I guess. I think that's a really good angle.
Mm.
Good.
Yeah.
Tell me why you chose such a high ISO.
I think the camera just adjusted to that.
Huh.
What mode were you shooting in, Bill? Do you know? Bob, I'm sorry.
I thought it was in aperture mode.
Okay, so you selected your f5.6
f5.6, correct.
and then you selected the shutter speed, or did you just put it
I
in
think the
aperture
camera-
priority and let the
I
camera
think the
go?
Camera did the rest.
Okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but I like the brown at the bottom that kind of comes up. That was nice.
The leaves, yeah.
Yeah.
We tried this with candles, with all kinds of things outside, and then we finally just said, just do the Buddha. So
It looks good. The one thing I might suggest you experiment with is I find the white a little too bright down here at the bottom.
okay,
I find that a bit distracting, and I can't see an easy way. Just to, if you crop it, you're going to crop part of the Buddha. So I don't know, but that for me was the only improvement point that I thought might be worth thinking about.
okay.
But it's a good job. Your images are coming on very well, Bob.
Yeah,
Ryan,
very nice, Bob.
Would a little vignette help, Graham, to address
Yeah.
that?
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
That might help. Might make it look
yeah,
good.
that's a
Just
good.
just darkening that bottom would help.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
idea.
All
Well,
right.
and yeah, in response to Helen's comment a little bit ago about tips and tricks and shadows and brightness and all of that, this is a spot where maybe toning down highlights a little bit would get to the same place, and then the choice is if it gets rid of too much of the other things to increase brightness a little bit or to draw shadows out. But that's something, Helen, that you could adjust using those sliders on highlights and shadows as well as brightness.
Right.
That's a good point, Mike. Thank you for that. It's also worth mentioning that we tend to think about making a good image by using these sliders. You can play creatively with those sliders in order to get rid of stuff or to change the way the image looks too. So it's worth actually playing quite a bit. I know I keep talking about playing, but those sliders can come in handy not for uses other than making the picture look, quotes, good. So good job, Bob. I like what you did there.
Yeah,
Great.
it's nice.
Nice.
Very good.
Oh,
Okay.
Ah,
Frog. That's great.
Yeah, that one's mine.
I like it.
I didn't do much with it other than crop it, and he actually was spitting water, if you guys are familiar with the frog up in Farrington. And I took the water out. I just thought it looked more serene,
Right.
like he was taking a nap.
Yep.
I struggled a little with the brightness on the right side of the frog, but there wasn't much I could do with it. I played around with exposure and it didn't seem to help much.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to adjust.
Yeah.
Because everything else is so perfectly exposed.
So this is one where I I don't know, do you work on a calibrated monitor, AJ? To me, this is one where I would start to think about whether the colors were oversaturated, just a touch.
Yeah, okay.
Is it you? Is this you, Frank?
No,
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 AJ.
Hey,
AJ.
it is AJ. It says AJ. You know, there's a clue up there. So, but again, bear in mind that what looks saturated on one screen may not look saturated on another, or vice versa.
Yeah, it actually looks fine on my computer screen, but I have it hooked up to an LED TV, and it does look oversaturated on the TV.
Yeah. So this stuff is really tricky, and there's also the subjectivity, and maybe we'll talk about color managed workflows at some stage, but that, to me, that's a fairly advanced topic. But just given that we've just talked about that, when I see this on my screen, which is calibrated, particularly the greens leap out at me, and this orange down here. Those are the bits that grab me. For the rest, no issue. So I would, if I was working on this, I'd be thinking in terms of toning this down and maybe the greens, just taking the greens down a touch. And the reason that I think that way is A, they strike me as being a little too hot, but two is they also drag me down here. The bright color and the warm drags me up here, and this warm colors advance and the cooler colors recede. So that's working against, in my mind, working against me, you know, as an image maker, wanting me to look here, I would think.
Okay, great.
The colors look good on my screen, but I guess I like things that are highly saturated anyway. So if what I'm seeing is what I like and it's over saturated to others, and AJ, you know, as usual, creative photos, and I wonder what is on the right hand side that you might have cropped out. I guess my brain wants to see a little bit more on the right side of the frame above the frog's head.
There was a big white post. There's like a canopy over the top of this, and there was a big white post up there. There actually was a big white post. If you look at the reflection above the frog's knee,
oh yeah,
there was a big white post in the back there too that I took out.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Look at that.
Cool.
And I just didn't take the time to try to do something about the reflection part because it wasn't terribly noticeable.
No.
Until I said something.
Yeah.
Cool. Nicely seen. I like the frog a lot.
Most photographed frog, I think. That's great.
Yeah, that one's mine too. That's also in Farrington. It's the fountains outside of the inn.
Did you have her pose or did you just catch her?
Actually, that's a stock photo from the yoga person is a stock photo from the internet.
Ah, okay.
So it's a composite.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow,
Very
that's
good.
interesting.
I like the way you placed her right there, right, you know, with that fountain right in front of her, actually.
Yeah, I originally had it centered and I kind of liked the way it looked. But over on the right-hand side, there was a bench
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't quite the right size for the person. So I thought that that might distract, you know, from the overall size of the image. So I
Right.
took it out.
I like it a lot. I think it's really nicely balanced. The giveaway that it's a cutout is if you look at the lighting too, she's lit from the back and the
Yeah.
picture is lit from the other back, as it were. But I think it's nicely seen and nicely thought through, and I think it's beautifully balanced.
Okay. Was this in GIMP?
Actually, no, I do most of my stuff in Photoshop. But I'm beginning to use GIMP more because as an example, in the previous photo, where Graham was talking about the orangish leaves distracting, the nice thing about GIMP is you can go in and you can selectively change the saturation on individual colors. So when we're done, I'm going to go back to that photo again and revisit it.
Yeah.
Cool. I think this is a really good interpretation of the theme too, AJ.
Thanks.
Really well done. I like it a lot. Anything else for AJ? Okay. Aha.
That's mine. It's a photograph of water surface on the upper pond in Camden Park.
Okay.
I really enjoy photographing water surface, and with a telephoto lens, if you manual focus on the surface of the water, you can get some interesting effects. If you depend on autofocus, then typically what your camera focuses on is the reflection in the water. Pardon?
I really like this. This looks like a painting.
It does. I was gonna say, it has an effect, a painting effect on it.
And I like how the lighting is darker at the bottom and gets lighter as it goes up.
Thanks. This is, there was a lot more darkness in it, but I cropped it to, there's a lot on the left side of the photo. There was also some darkness. Yeah, I spent over about a 2-day period, I took over 2,000 photos of water. At, kneeling, standing, so different angles to the water surface, into the sun, away from the sun, angles to the sun, morning, afternoon, and late afternoon, or morning, midday, and late afternoon. And some of them came out interesting.
I love this one.
One of the things that's getting me, and it's probably my eyes or what's happening in terms of lighting and where I'm sitting, but I'm seeing a whole lot more detail than I first saw. It's like the thing is beginning to pop out more. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, to me also, it has a feel of like some Japanese paintings,
yes,
Oriental paintings, where the distance, as you move up the image, the distance is further away. And yeah, I thank you. I'm glad you like it.
I think it's fabulous.
Cool.
I wonder if it could be a really nice, if you could stretch it into a horizontal image, more
More like a 16
more
by 9.
landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More and more landscape. I don't know if, I know it's possible to stretch things in post. And I wonder what would happen if you played around with that.
Well, I have cropped it I tried cropping it in like a 3x2
Mhm.
and also larger, but I don't, for me, it felt better this way as an 8x10.
Mhm.
Good job, Mike.
Great.
Beautiful.
Nice shot.
Oh, well,
thi-
better.
Another.
Yeah, and this is my another one. And again, you know, depending on the day and the time of day, whether there are clouds in the skies. The first one, I'm pretty sure it was a cloudy sky.
Mm.
This day, obviously, it was more blue. And the other thing is, when I looked at this again, I looked at this is 360 millimeter f/22 on my on the shot, and the ripples are just much finer than the other one. You know, the ripples are tighter, and yeah, it gives kind of, I don't know, the color and the gradient just is relaxing to me.
Yeah. Excellent.
I like the bluish tone to it.
Thanks. And the first one, I don't think I did any, I didn't push any of the colors or contrast or anything. This one I did push the blue a little bit.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I hope it didn't come out too as too much, but
Looks good to me.
Yeah.
Looks good.
And these are great for those of you who are pondering this stuff. I used to capture lots and lots and lots of this stuff, not necessarily water, but textures and so on, that are really useful for backgrounds. If you're doing abstract work or backgrounds of anything. Nowadays, you can get them all online, but it's great to take your own and keep them and classify them. So excellent, Mike.
Great.
Fabulous
Thank
job.
you.
I mean, fabulous.
Oh.
I love this.
So cute.
Okay,
That's
that one's mine.
Oh,
And this is a friend of ours' dog. Actually, I had to go a little bit to the archives a few months back. We were out actually at the beach. And the dog was just, must be taking in the breeze off the beach or so. And the trouble was the original photograph had a lot of details in the back.
Yeah.
There's a white chair back there.
All right.
So what I did is I had to spend some time and look through some of the Nick collections where I could go through there and I could apply a preset that would darken just the right areas, you know, to try to give it a feeling like there's this little light shining on this dog and it's meditating. So
Yeah. I think that's what jumps out at me. The eyes look like he's meditating.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a candle in front of him, or it'd be amazing.
Drop in some incense smoke.
oh, coyote buttons, yeah.
Yeah, the only
Well, and
the
go
only
ahead.
comment the only comment I would make is if you could get rid of that bright spot just in front of his nose from whatever it is in the background there.
Struggled with that quite a bit, yep.
But that's a fantastic portrait shot.
Yeah, and Bill, was this converted to black and white, or is this all the color that was in the scene? I don't know how to ask it, but
yes, the
if
original
it's not,
yeah, the original was pretty much like this. Yeah, just a little brighter, but everything was kind of a very neutral tone. And then the Nick filter that I used, it just tried to get rid of the outsides of it a little bit, you know, darken it down so your eye wouldn't go all over the place. But yeah, this is pretty much what he looked like.
Well, and I think that this is a good example of a photograph that if it was in color, it ought to be black and white. I think part of the power of this is that it is monochromatic. Like
And I
it.
did,
And
I
I
did
and
try
I
to
like the eyes, but I also like the mouth. The mouth is
Yeah.
what gets me most.
Yeah,
Oh.
I tried to work on that white area to the right of the nose, but I'm not really well versed on either elements or affinity. So, yeah, I tried to do a few things and I think I made it look worse instead of better. So, once I came across this one, I figured that's it.
I like the range of tones, and I love the positioning. You've got him looking into some nice open space, and it works really well.
Yeah.
That is great.
And I can't say his name right here now because my dog's here. And if I say his name, she'll
Put it in chat.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay.
Ready.
That's
wow.
me too. That's me too. You know, with all the bad weather we've had around here, I mean, I like nighttime personally. I was hoping to be able to get out this past week and do some astro kind of work. Because what I found out that I've been walking the dog after dark, and I walk around the back of the inn, I walk around by the Camden Park, and I just get so much comfort from looking up at the sky and seeing stars, clouds, a meteor go past, and you know, that's my serenity. Yeah, is nighttime. So this was a shot, of course, back in the beach, and this was a 30-second exposure.
Hmm.
It kind of brought this feeling, you know, the clouds moved during that 30-second period of time. The water moved. The flags are, you know, completely out. So to me, that's my serenity.
Yeah.
Cool. Nicely done.
Beautiful.
Nicely done. Great combination of cool and warm tones too.
And I really didn't do much of this except for cropping it. It was maybe darkened up just a tad.
Very
I think
good.
the colors are great to help with a serene feel as well. Just the blues and just a little bit of the orange. It's not too bright. The load of the tension is nice.
Yeah, I can. This is the sound side of duck, and I can just sit there every night
Mhm.
and just watch the sun go down.
Cool. Good job, Bill.
Beautiful shot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is mine. I took so many pictures of it, and I used elements, and then I discarded it. You know how you do. But I was trying to focus on the eyes, and this was the best I could get coming out of the light. So this is my idea of serenity, this Buddha.
Cool. And were you shooting on aperture priority? You remember?
I can't recall.
Okay. Well, you got the eyes sharp, and
Yeah.
that's always the key. And very shallow focus by the look of it. To me, it looks to me like only the front of the face is in focus, which works really well here. It draws you into the image.
A great job with the background too.
Yeah. How did you do that?
That's like most of you have. I have a large black board,
Oh,
and then I was trying to get it toned down, and I used I just was fooling around with the various options, and found one of them that actually toned it down surprisingly. So
Yeah.
I just went with that.
Tripod?
No,
Oh, really? That's handheld?
now it's
1/5 of a second.
That's,
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I saw there, and I said, man, if that's being handheld,
that's great. The
Work, Larry.
thing I like about that background too is how it lightens as you go towards the right and towards the left, but it's that like dark halo almost around the face.
Mhm.
my Burmese Buddha, which we actually bought in not too far from Burma and had it shipped where we lived in Asia. If you buy a Buddha in, or used to be, if you buy a Buddha in Thailand, they'd confiscate it at the airport because you're not supposed to ship images of Buddha outside of the country.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So we asked the fellow that we bought it in Chiang Mai, which is in the northern part of Thailand, and we asked the fellow where we could ship this, and he said, just go to the post office. So we went, put it in a box, sent it to ourselves at the post office. It was fine.
That worked out pretty well.
Great shot.
Good work.
Oh, my.
It's another meditation.
Cute.
That's mine, Betty.
How can it be yours, Betty? It doesn't have your name on it.
Huh?
It didn't have your name on it.
That's great.
That is lovely.
It is. Great background with the soft
Wow.
focus on it.
Yeah, it's one of those you can't do, I couldn't do too much with. It just was. And I just caught him for, he only was asleep for probably about 30 seconds before he went, going again. But
That's amazing.
it's
Beautiful photo.
at night, I put it on as a screensaver on my desktop for a while because it's definitely a serene type of picture. Very
Where
cool.
was he? Where was the squirrel?
Oh, he's in the backyard. We put a dead cedar tree up,
Mm.
and for the birds to sit on and whatever else. And he just after lots of squirrels out there and lots of birds, and after running around, he was just a little guy and crawled up there and just fell asleep before he went back to his business.
It's
Well,
wonderful.
Betty, you knocked another one out of the park, if you ask me. That's a great photo.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
I know you do a lot of your pictures, or some of your pictures through glass, through window. Where
This too, yeah. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter though, if the focus is on what's beyond the window, if the window's dirty, it matters for sure. And right now we're having a lot of trouble with the bluebirds all banging on the window and messing it up from the outside. So that's kind of hard for taking through the window. But otherwise, no, I take just about everything.
So
like
this was
through the window.
So this was through the window.
Yes, yeah.
That's amazing. It's
Wow.
sharp. It is so sharp.
So does that 70 to 300 millimeter lens, that enables you to catch things that are somewhat of a distance?
I have a mirrorless, so it actually translates more to like 450 millimeters. But, compared to everybody running around with the 600s and plus, it always feels like it's too short. But it's a good compromise for weight. And, I can use a harness, wear a harness and actually just walk with it and take birds and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a good mid-range thing.
Nicely seen.
But the nice thing is to have it set up a little bit. We've been doing more, just putting bird feeders and dead trees or whatever, just things that are around that are within the range that I can get with that camera, because otherwise it's so frustrating. You can't get enough light to get good shots of things that are too far away.
And Betty, if you want an add-on, you can buy a teleconverter, which is just smaller than a hockey puck. Doesn't add much weight. You do lose a shutter speed, so it's not as fast as it was, and you're going to lose some definition as well. But you put a 1.4 teleconverter behind that lens, and all of a sudden you've got almost a 600 millimeter lens.
Yeah, interesting though, that was one of the things when I bought this lens that was a downside, is they said you could not do a teleconverter with it.
Ah.
And I'm not quite sure whether that means you can't get the controls, but you could put it there and get the distance, or just whether there's some other, but it's not, it's a Sony. And that was
well, maybe a mirrorless thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I do have the problem with the teleconverter, there was, I originally started out with just one of those, I don't know, anyway, it was a cheaper, just a fixed type thing, but it had teleconverters to really stretch it out, but then I couldn't handhold it because it was, had to be too steady.
Yeah.
I couldn't get any image stabilization from it, so.
How does a teleconverter differ from an extension tube?
Well, somebody that uses extension tubes should answer, but I'm going to say that extension tubes are more for macro work.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, and a teleconverter is just like a longer, rather than macro. I mean, it's telephoto. I mean, it adds distance to the existing focal length of and if it was a 1.4. I mean, I can't do the math in my head, but if on a non-full size sensor, you get, like as she said, a 1.5, roughly a 1.5 times, and then you do that another 1.4 times. So, and gets up there, and again, it's a small thing. Good ones are not really cheap, but they're cheaper than that kind of lens would be if you bought the lens as a 600 millimeter lens, and it's huge if it's 600 millimeters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have found with the 1.4, I have a 2 times and I got a 3 times. But when I do put it on, and if I put it on with a zoom lens, it does a lot of hunting. The autofocus. I have to pretty much use it manual if I'm going to use the teleconverter. But if I put it on a prime, because I have a nifty 50, it works perfect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've been trying to deal with the teleconverters for some time now, and it just never. I never get the performance that I'd love to have with it, and I keep trying.
Yeah, I have a 1.4 teleconverter that I've used. I bought specifically for 100 to 400 millimeter Series L Canon lens that I use for birding, and depending on the subject, it's okay, but there is a loss of definition that, if you're trying to get something really sharp, then I was a little disappointed, but sometimes it works okay.
Okay.
These are Mark's. His grandkids.
And Mark's seen the doc, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to know what they're looking at.
It's a nice candid shot.
It is. I'm assuming a TV.
Yeah, either that or Grandpa scolding them.
That's right.
I don't think he does that.
Alien spaceship.
Yeah, I think he said this was with an iPhone because he still can't hold a camera.
Oh, right, right.
Nicely shot. Okay. I don't know whose this one is.
Oh, that's mine.
Okay.
It's our little stream next that I go over every day. Not every day, most days with on my walkies. And with the rains, it's going pretty good with little waterfalls and such, but sometimes it's dry, and when we have our dry spells, so some intermittent little spot to hang out.
Is this in Briar Chapel?
No, this is behind Polk's Landing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
You can hear the water.
Cool.
That is nice.
All right. Nobody got anything more to say?
Unremarkable.
Nice shot.
Yeah, clear picture. I like it.
Very clear.
Cool.
Oh,
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This I have posted on Nextdoor, so the folks in Briar Chapel may have already seen it, but this is at the Beaver Lodge. And it's I guess they're not quite serene because they're kind of studying me a little bit, but they're kind of relaxed and hanging out.
But those are otters, aren't they? Not beavers.
Yes.
Right.
Otters.
Right.
Okay.
Are the otters in the Beaver Lodge or?
Yeah, they're
Oh,
on the
that-
edge of the Beaver Lodge. They
Yeah.
like to hang out there.
Huh.
But the beaver are still there, right? In the Beaver Lodge?
I actually got a picture of the beaver 3 days later.
Ah, very nice.
And they don't mind if the otters come and sit on the side, is that?
Not at all. I think as long as they don't get too pushy inside the lodge, I don't think they have any problem. I mean, the otters eat fish and the beavers eat wood, so there's no competition on the food. So
I mean, that's a great shot, but
I love
I
the
was
way
wondering how you got that because I saw it on Nextdoor.
well, it's not easy herding otters to get them to do that.
Yeah, did you just happen upon them? I mean,
Well, I'm there pretty much every day, tracking the lodge, then the dam and the water issues there on Pokeberry Creek. And so I'm always taking a picture, at least one of the lodge. And about once every couple of months, the otters show up and give me a little entertainment and opportunities for other pictures.
yeah.
I'd like to see another photograph of the close-up of their faces.
Yeah.
An additional photograph, I mean.
Well, that's a good 200 feet away. And I'm using a serious unserious camera with a very serious telephoto, so to speak, and image stabilization to be able to get that close of an image.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the focal length in the EXIF data says 38 to 2,470 millimeters. That's
Right.
a long telephoto.
Right, but it's amazing. This is just an inexpensive SX70. You can't change the lens or anything. I mean, it's kind of a point and shoot in a way, but the image stabilization and the magnification on this thing I love it because I can get close to distant critters.
Nicely seen.
that's mine. That was a frustration over what to do when it was pouring down rain for 40 days, 49. So I decided,
Serenity in a bottle.
drink some wine and forget the challenge.
Yep, that sounds all right.
Serenity comes in a bottle.
Yeah. And with all this rain.
Listen, I want to say, I think I said this last time, and this is not just about this photo, but all of them. And it speaks to the next challenge of irony. Some of the best photographs that have come from this group have been from nebulous topics. Seriously. When we talked about irony as a challenge, my comment was that, you know, that it's resulted, those kinds of topics have resulted in incredible creativity. And this is another example of that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question. Is that a wall, a painted wall, or is that some kind of backboard that you put there?
Piece of matting.
It's mat board?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Good color choice. I didn't know if you had that kind of play with the color, if it was just the wall color, or if you could choose what you put behind it, but you chose.
Mhm.
It was the only piece of mat board I had left that was big enough to use.
It's a good choice. I
was
like it.
really frustrated. I wanted to do the yoga pose that somebody did. I wanted to do Leslie's Buddha. I mean, all it did was rain. So,
Nicely done. I think this is a nice shot. I think
Really? Yeah.
you did a good
Yeah,
job.
I do too.
It's nice with the shadow too. You don't have any sharp shadows to it. It's a
No,
blended background there. It's nice.
nice.
It's in
nice
focus,
stuff.
Helen.
it wasn't to start with. I think I pushed the slider on clarity all the way to 100%. I just cannot get anything focused sharply.
Looks sharp. Okay, it looks sharp enough.
Yeah.
There's almost a story
Yeah.
there too, that it's like, well, what happened to this glass and the wine? Is there something going on here afterwards that we're not seeing? It's a little mystery to it as well.
That's what
A
I
little
hope.
mini selfie in it too.
Good job.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, that's neat.
Oh,
That's a new floating thing.
yeah.
yeah, that's my Betty. And what is this? It was, I saw it floating in the lower pond and it looks like it's got a door on the side. So it looks like it's something for the ducks in the lower pond at Fearington. Does anybody know what this is or how it got there?
It just appeared a week or two ago, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I've never seen it before.
It was preceded by a couple of white floats, and I wondered who the hell put the white floats in the pond, and then that showed up. So I think the white floats are what's keeping it up.
A friend of mine about 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, was talking about building a house for that one duck that's out there with the crazy.
Moshi, the Muscovy duck.
The Muscovy, right? And I don't know if this might have been his final result of building the house.
But, you know, we didn't think that the door, which is on the other side, doesn't look like it's big enough for the muscovy.
No.
But maybe
That's not big enough for that duck. That's a huge duck.
But maybe they were trying to attract, you know, some of the other smaller ones to stay there because he seems to enjoy not being alone. So anyway, it was a beautiful lighting on it, which is why I just took it with my iPhone.
Amazing. The reflection is amazing on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Beautiful.
wasn't much post-processing at all. Just
What time of day was this? I love the sun reflection off, but is that late afternoon?
I think it was late afternoon, something like that. I was just taking, you know, the dog for a walk and saw it there, and it was kind of glowing in the sun.
What's really fun is to watch that Muscovy duck interact with the great blue herons. And the great blue herons get really upset sometimes. And I've seen them strike at the Muscovy, and the Muscovy backs up and then shakes it, wags its tail, and comes up for love, but doesn't get much from the blue herons.
He does it with our dog too.
Very good.
Oh, that's
this is beautiful.
This is nice.
That's mine, and that's because Bill helped me get a tripod, so I was playing with the tripod. And then also I had watched one of the Tony Northrup videos about lighting, so I just started playing around.
Nice.
Very nice.
What did you do for the light?
actually, I just took a regular lamp with a lampshade and put it underneath and then just started moving, bending it, to different perspectives till I got one that I liked. The thing I really wanted to do and wasn't able to is I wanted to be able to even get up to the top. When I started this project, it was a different shape, and I couldn't get it, but it had a beautiful S curve and the top is a really light green. And I would have liked to have gotten that, but I didn't, but I'll keep trying.
Good start.
Great job.
Last meeting, Betty had a photograph that had the edge of a table in it, just like this one does. And that's something that I like about this photo as well, that if that table had just cut across the whole bottom of the frame, I don't think this would have been as good a photo, but that the edge of that corner is a tiny thing that.
But it adds a lot.
Yeah.
I think.
That's pure luck.
The line brings you into the pot there by turning and then heading to the left.
So the thing I should work on next time you shoot this, Mary, because I think it's a startling composition. It's very noisy. See if you can work with your ISO a lot lower.
Oh, okay.
Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
seeing-
I had it, it's just automatic, so I didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the red, green, and blue spots?
Yep.
That's because your ISO is high.
Oh, I'll play with that.
3700.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
if you can work it to use a lower ISO, then that would be a good thing to do.
Yeah, I noticed that because I thought maybe I had the aperture wrong, so I was playing with aperture. I couldn't get that noisiness out of the background.
The only way that comes is noise from high ISO.
From a high ISO. Didn't even think of that. Thank you.
And now with
Well, and given the simple background, you could probably open the lens up a whole lot. The EXIF says f/22. So it's just closed down, and that's what jumped the ISO up, because you're not letting as much light through the aperture, that it's compensating by making the sensor more sensitive, and that's where the noise comes from, I think. But yeah, and you have a tripod for a reason, and the reason you have a tripod is so you can slow things down.
Well,
and so you could.
I had the different f-stop. That's when I felt like I had a noisier background, because it was like a bokeh effect, in the background.
Right.
I'll play with it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I love the composition, is just perfect.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I'm struggling for the word. The Japanese have a word for this, and I can't think what it is. But this would fit that mold very, very well. Really nice.
I'll play again tonight. Thank you.
Very effective.
Okay, that's mine. The last time I saw it, we had a sunny day. I always like sunsets or sunrises. This is a sunrise down at Jordan Lake. So I went down there, got down there around 6 in the morning or 6:30 and waited, and was managed to get there. That was the last time I could do it, because it's been raining ever since.
Yeah. Nice
Can you get rid of that cooling
Is it
tower
really good?
vapor?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The cooling tower vapor coming out
Yeah, that's
from
right.
the nuclear plant.
It's funny, at the time, I didn't see it until I got home and started playing around with it. Then I saw it up there.
That's for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking the exact same thing. That this is irony. You've got this serene scene with a nuclear energy plant blowing up in the background.
All right. Nicely done.
Oh, thank you.
Nicely done.
Now, this is my dog.
Austin.
Now, with all the rain and everything going on outside, he's been spending a lot of time like this on the couch. So one day I just happened to look over at him, and I said, "Wow, that's certainly serene." He's been, he's sleeping, and he's been like that for 3 days. So,
You know.
Sounds like depression to me.
that's right. I know, he's just complaining, when is it gonna, get sunny outside? So the only thing I did was, because he's got a nice golden color on the background with that little blanket we had, I just kind of brushed that down, making it less saturated and a little darker to kind of bring him out a little more.
Right. That works. Nice image.
Love it.
Austin.
Oh,
All right, that's mine. Here we go. This is an iPhone picture.
Oh,
And when I heard the word serenity, to me, I need to be underwater,
yeah.
but I couldn't get an underwater shot. So this is an underwater picture in a book.
Oh,
And then I laid the sand dollar down on top of it because I just, being at the beach, being at the, walking with the sand under my feet, being underwater, under the waves, is what makes me feel serene. So I did the best of capturing it here in my house. There you go.
I like the imagine, the creative element of thinking that way. That's superb.
I like that.
Thank you.
Great idea.
Nice sharp image on the sand dollar, a lot of good detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's with an iPhone.
Yeah, I'm looking. That's amazing. That's really good.
And it's
like the background.
beg your pardon?
I like the background.
Thank you. It was in a book about the making of Nemo.
Oh.
So that's actually the underwater scenery that they used when they put together the animated Nemo movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nicely shot.
That is beautiful.
Nice put together.
nice contrast of that white against the blue and the.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
This is mine. And I have when I look out my window, I see a hole in this tree and there's things that go in the hole, snakes and squirrels. And I saw these two squirrels on top of the hole and I just had to take the picture. Now, I have to say, the reason I was asking about telephotos and things like that is that my SLR won't handle this. So I grabbed my old point and shoot that has one of those things where you can zoom in.
Right.
And that's what I use to take this. It's a Panasonic Lumix, but I feel like, well, anyway, I'll get feedback from you all. I mean, I couldn't get, this was the resolution I got, which, I suppose I could have gotten better if I'd had a different camera lens.
Did you do post-processing on it?
No, I just cropped it.
Okay.
So
I'll bet you could get a lot more just sharpening just from that and putting a little, bringing the color out a bit. I think it's a great shot. I mean, I love it.
I do too.
Sharpness on their faces is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll talk to Tom and work with Affinity to try to get more sharpness there.
It looked like they're up to something, about to take off.
Yeah. But I was gonna do pictures of the sky when I look out my door and the trees and stuff. And then when I saw this, even though, like I said, I had to grab my point and shoot because my SLR wouldn't take this picture. So anyway.
Good. Well, you're headed in the right direction. There's no doubt about that. Good work. Aha.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That's mine. That's mine.
Oh, okay, Tom.
Yeah.
I
Let's see. I was a few years back. This is from my archive. A few years back, I was directing a show at East Chapel Hill High. We were working on Macbeth. this was shot in the acting studio, so it's theatrical lighting.
Ah, right.
I think that's really the what's going on here is the unusual lighting, and a beautiful boy. I mean, he's a beautiful child, a young man.
Nicely done.
I didn't do any kind of post with it. It's got that triangular shadow across the bridge of his nose, and I blurred it slightly.
Uh-huh. Nicely done. It's a nice portrait.
Very definitely.
Great portrait.
Beautiful.
I talked to my brother about it, and he said he would work on the hair. Does anybody have any suggestions? You know what he's talking about there?
No.
Oh, I don't know what.
I mean, it's nicely lit. I mean, I am assuming that, you did a soft focus thing on this deliberately. And so, the whole image is nicely soft. Is that how it was shot, Tom, or did you do that in post?
No, I didn't. That was my old point and shoot camera, so it was soft, and the light level was low, even though it's dramatic. It was low, so it was
1/8 of a second.
Sorry.
1/8 of a second handheld.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't know what I would do with the hair.
Yeah, I don't know what he's referring to.
Well, I'll see what he says. Maybe he was just looking to say something. I don't know.
All right, nicely done.
Hey.
Definitely.
Oh, that might be it. Is that it? Let's have a look. It is. Okay, that's it.
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Okay, like on my picture, I just wondered what lens would I need to get something like that clearer? Is that even a meaningful question?
The squirrels one?
Which one was that?
The next to the last one with the two squirrels.
The two squirrels. Yeah.
Well, it's showing that it's a 100mm lens.
Yeah.
Well, it is. That's a point and shoot where I can zoom in.
Okay.
So it's digital zoom, maybe?
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, like, if I shot that with an SLR, is there an answer for what kind of lens I would need to get that?
How far away were you, Susan?
Boy, I don't know. It's outside my window. 30, 40 feet away, 50 feet away. Yeah.
40 feet's quite a distance. You're going to need a reasonably long lens to get that.
Okay.
So
that would be expensive then.
Good long lenses are expensive.
Oh, okay.
But you can rent them. If you think you want to play with some of this gear that we talk about, and some of it can be quite expensive. And even if it's not that expensive and you're not sure you want to go that route, look at some of the rental places. Borrow Lenses, what's the other one? Lens Rental. There are a few of them around now. And, I look at them and I think, wow, that's a lot of money for a week. But then I think, well, it's not a lot of money if I try it out and find that it wasn't what I wanted. It's a cheap way to experiment. And the other way is, of course, poll your friends who have lenses. You can get long lenses that are relatively affordable, but the quality is not great.
Okay.
They can be. I mean, they also the off-brand lenses, the Sigmas and the Tamrons. I see somebody was shooting with a Tamron today. I'd try renting, or if you can borrow. If you can't, rent. What sort of
Susan? What maybe Graham was about to ask. What kind of camera?
This was okay. So the SLR I have is a Canon Rebel, but this is a Panasonic Lumix FZ200, and it was the one I used to shoot with all the time because it has a zoom on it. So you can just, it's point and shoot, but you can zoom all the way out. And that's what I did with this.
Okay.
Does that make
What
sense?
what was the reason that you couldn't use your DSLR? Was it a long enough lens or?
I didn't use the SLR because I just have, I don't have a lens. I mean, I did actually use the SLR and shot a similar picture, but it didn't turn out as well because the lens I have on it is, what is it? It's the one that comes with the camera, the 30 to 55.
Okay.
18 to 55.
Yeah, so I grabbed my point and shoot, which I bought way back when to shoot frogs and stuff because it had that zoom on it. And so I zoomed all the way out and got this, but I'm thinking that the resolution probably isn't as good because it's zoomed all the way out with this SLR. Is that true? I mean, with the, is that true?
If I could make a observation as well, first to answer your question, is part of it is yes, that is true, but the lens that you're talking about is only one aspect of what this image, the result here. Look at the 1/50th of a second. So that's pretty slow shutter speed for a handheld, especially over distance. So one of the things that I think is happening as well is there may be a little bit of motion blur in this as well. So even a sharp, long lens that we're talking about, like, would also produce the same type of results with that over distance with such slow shutter speeds. So in this case, sunlight is our friend.
Yeah, and I have a Rebel that I use a lot, and I use I think it's a 75 to 300 lens that came with the camera when I bought it, so it's not an expensive lens, and I've had pretty good luck with it. So that's something you might want to think about.
Those 75 300s, you can pick them up for $60, $50, $60, $70.
Okay.
I again, borrowing or renting, worth a try. Try it and see, because it may not be what you want. You may not be comfortable with it. 300mm is a pretty long lens on a DSLR.
Yeah. And to Jim's point too, when you see there that it says 108 millimeters, what you really probably have to consider is that you want to shoot this at no less than maybe 1/125th of a second. Because if you're shooting it handheld and you're shooting a long distance, that just a little bit of movement can just, like he says, put that little motion blur in it as well.
Cool.
The guidance is one. The lowest shutter speed ought to be 1 over the focal length of a lens. So a 100mm lens, 1 over 100. A 200mm lens, 1 over 200 for shutter speed. I have a good 300mm fixed focal length Nikon lens that I'll loan anybody that wants to use it, that can use a Nikon mount, an F mount. It's a lens that I bought used. I didn't pay a whole lot for it, but it's a good high quality medium length telephoto. If any, and that's why I asked what you have, Susan. If you had a Nikon, I'd loan it to you. But anybody wants to borrow it, they're welcome to it.
I've been surprised when I have heard my wife repeat things to me. She said, zoom with your feet. Look, I'm doing it.
That's always good advice.
If I could add on the, I used to have Rebel, and then I moved up in other Canons, and I still have a 70 to 300 that I'm not using. If you want to give it a go, see what it's like, to try it out, get up with you.
You have an offer, Susan.
Great. Okay.
Hey, Jim, to follow on your remark, yeah, I've got a a nice 100 to 400 millimeter lens. And for a good bird shot, I like to be within 30 feet. Otherwise, I don't get the detail I'm hoping for.
And you shoot when you, from a distance, and then approach your subject till they leave.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So the other thing, we've had a lot of sort of extreme telephoto shots by various techniques today. And the other thing that I think I found I had to work on for a heck of a long time before I got comfortable with it was the technique of holding a camera. And if you're just holding it, you know, like many of us started, you're not going to get good results, particularly at long focal lengths. So there's, again, plenty of good videos out there on YouTube about technique, how to hold, how to brace yourself and the camera. And all of these little bits add up. So I loved a lot of the images today, but I would say that most of the long focal ones were not as crisp as maybe you should be striving for. And that's the combination of reach of a telephoto lens, technique, and so on and so forth. It's tough. Good taking photos with a telephoto lens is tough. Mike Blotzer did a great presentation physically. God, it must be a long time ago now, Mike, because we were in a room together. And Mike showed some of the telephoto shots he does of birds. I mean, and they just blow you away. But how long have you been practicing to get that good, Mike?
Years. And you know, I started out, I had when I retired from NASA, I bought a Canon T2i as my first SLR, and I had a 200 millimeter telephoto lens, not very expensive. And I spent a year with that. And what I realized was that combination is the quality of the sensor in the camera and the quality of the lens makes a big difference, because I have some photos of a northern water thrush here in Farrington Village that I got real close to, got real lucky, and just the detail and the quality wasn't there. And that's when I decided to upgrade to the 7D Canon body, and then yeah, and even with a nice sensor and a nice lens, to get the detail I want in some of the photos, I really have to be within 30 feet of the subject. And so, as Jim said, you know, you see something, you start taking photos and slowly approach until it goes away. And but it took several years, I think 3 to 5 years, to perfect the technique.
Yeah, so don't lose hope if, you know, when you're looking at stuff and thinking, oh my God, I'm no good, you know, oh, my pictures are not what I would want. It takes a long time and practice. The other thing that I think often we don't emphasize enough is the stuff we're doing is a skill. And the only way you get a skill is practice, 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 practice. We can be as logical and ethereal about this stuff as we like. We can think about it all day long, but until you go out and do it repeatedly, so that it becomes second nature in many cases, to certainly operate the camera, then it's tough. But hang in there. I see some great stuff coming out of this group. Fabulous improvements and progress from just about everybody. Not me, because I'm not doing very much photography. But anyway, good job, folks. Excellent photos again. Don't forget, next week we have AJ in his starring role. So it's an off week. So you're not waiting 2 weeks. You're going to be with us next week and the week after. And Bill, remind us what the topic is for the week after. Bill's gone.
Irony.
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 Ernie. Bert and Ernie.
Right. Good job, folks. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A good one.
Thank you. Good meeting.
Take care.
Thank you.